Jabrill, can you give us a sense of what it feels like on that defense to lead this team, and in this case, 3 consecutive shutouts? What's the atmosphere on that defense right now?
You know, it's still room for improvement. You know, we come in, time out, you know, with great game plan. It's just up to us to execute. You know, we have a lot of talented guys who, you know, take pride in what they do. You know, and when you have a group of 11 guys that are all doing their job and hungry to do their job, then, you know, the sky's the limit for us, you know. So we're not gonna pat ourselves on the back and, you know, all that other stuff, you know, but it's time to go now. We get into the gut of our schedule, and, you know, we still have to improve on a lot. So, you know, that's how we look at it. Just get in the film room tomorrow and, you know, try to correct the mistakes and, you know, take it one game at a time.
Second row to your left in the middle, Chris.
Jordan, take us through the pick and what exactly happened. We couldn't see the ball. Did he bobble it or did he just strip it from him?
Oh no, I took it from him. He had the ball, and I guess he was trying to brace his fall, and like I snatched it out of his hands. I didn't even know I had it, so it was on my leg. As soon as I caught the ball, as soon as I saw it on my leg, I just started hitting it.
All right, please keep your hand raised if you have any questions. Front row, just to your right, Michael there in the orange shirt.
Did you guys hear the crowd chanting defense on that last? And I mean, I know you said that you got more improved, but to get a third straight shutout and to have that feeling, isn't there some type of emotion coming right now from what you guys are doing?
I would say in the emotion, you know, this is what we expect to do. You know, we work extremely hard. Our coaches work extremely hard, and, you know, game planning and letting us know what they like to do out of said personnel, or, you know, on first, second, third down. You know, so when we're out there, we just keep that in mind and, you know, do what we coach to do to the best of our ability.
All the way to your left, standing up, Dan.
Jabrill, over here, look. That last drive in the fourth quarter, all the starters were still on the field there. You guys seemed to, you were fired up and just chanting going on. How important was finishing the third straight shutout?
Well, you know, we really don't think about shutouts when we're out there. We're just trying to limit them to as much as possible, you know. So when we're out there, we don't want to give them anything, you know. So, and if a shutout is the byproduct of that, then, you know, so be it. But when we're out there, we just concentrate on, you know, 3 and outs, constant 3 and outs, getting off the field, let our offense, you know, give us a break and let them go put up some points, or let us put up some points, you know. So, you know, we don't really hang our hats on the shutouts, you know, but, you know, if that's a byproduct of our hard work and, you know, what we game plan for, then, you know, so be it.
Right next to him, Wojo.
For both players, I think you know who is next on the schedule. Your first thoughts on Michigan State coming up next?
You know, they're a good team, you know, but we're just trying to enjoy this win right now, and then, you know, when we come in tomorrow, we'll watch the film and, you know, start the game plan process.
Yeah, we haven't seen film on them yet. I know they're a good team, you know, they're a great team actually, you know, so we're gonna just enjoy this win like Jabrill said.
Going to Larry, second row middle here.
Talk about what a team victory this was, to score on offense, defense, special teams, what that does for the, you know, the momentum and the camaraderie that you guys have.
I mean, honestly, it's expected. You know, that excellence is expected from all of our coaches, from Coach Baxter on special teams, from Coach Durkin on defense, you know, defensive side of the ball. You know, the offense, you know, their job is to score points, but like it's expected. You know, we have to be great. You know, that's the standard around here.
Front row to the right, going back to Michael.
They were averaging like 240 yards rushing per game. Obviously, you guys held Justin Jackson. What did you guys do defensively to keep them so bottled up?
You know, well, that was one of the statements we wanted to make. You know, I guess they were first in the Big Ten in rushing. You know, we were, I guess, first in the Big Ten against rushing. And, you know, we just wanted to come out here and make a statement. We knew that they were going to try to run the ball early, and, you know, we just wanted to, you know, flush them, try to get vertical. You know, the defensive line did a great job all game. You know, the linebackers did a great job of fitting, and, you know, it just opened things up for us to make tackles back there in the secondary. You know, so it's all a collective effort, and you know, we definitely took it personal to try to come out here and make a statement against the run.
Right next to him, Nick.
Jordan, could you describe what your confidence is?
Confidence, it's about the same. You know, you can't think about the next the play that you had before. You know, you got to keep playing. You know, and we have, like you said, we have a big team coming up next week. So, you know, you can't focus on what you did in the past. You got to focus on what, you know, what's coming up.
Jabrill, could you explain how Jordan's playing?
Jordan's best corner in the country. You know, that makes everybody's job a lot easier. You know, when you got a guy out there who's going to shut down half the field, you know, that makes all of our jobs easier. So, you know, it's expected from him. You know, it's not like, oh, good job, Jordan. We expect that from Jordan. You know, so Jordan inspires me to play better. You know, along with Channing and, you know, Jeremy and, you know, the whole secondary. So, you know, we just feed off each other and, you know, try to just make as many plays as we possibly can.
Back to the front row here on your left.
You were just kind of finishing up with it, Jabrill, and you were explaining that you're sitting next to the best defensive player in the country. Now, my question to you then is following up with that is, what does it feel like to you personally to know that you've got him with you on that defense? So what does his work do with you and your work, and how do you get better with that?
I mean, it just inspires me to be better, you know, as far as technique, as far as his knowledge of the game, you know, it's just, you know, I like to learn from the guys around me, you know, they all make me a better player, but, you know, specifically him, you know, I definitely feed off him, you know, when he's having a good game, I try to, you know, stick my face in there and make a couple plays too, you know, so, and when you got a guy who shuts down the whole side of the field, you know they're going to come at you, you know, they can't go over there, so, you know, it definitely makes my job a lot more exciting too.
All the way to the left, Wojo.
Jourdan, Jabrill said you don't necessarily play for shutouts, just to go out and play, but 3 shutouts in a row, the numbers that you guys have put up defensively are pretty staggering right now. And obviously it must have been something having starters out there at the end. What do you think of all these defensive stats you guys are putting up?
The expectation. That's what Coach Durkin wants. That's what Coach Durkin preaches every single time. Get the ball back, you know. Everything is an opportunity. So when we were out there, you know, it was an opportunity to get a shutout. So it's just, honestly, it's just a standard.
Front row, all the way to your left, Teddy.
Jabrill, do you think you'll here you go, bud. Do you think you'll end up playing offense this season? Do you want to?
You know, I can't really speak on that right now. I'm just trying to get my defense assignments down pat. You know, they're moving me around a lot. You know, so I'm just mainly trying to learn the playbook and learn different positions. So, you know, wherever I'm at, you know, I definitely play the best of my ability. You know, how I think about it is, you know, if we get 3 and outs, I get another chance to touch the ball back there in punt return. You know, so they're not going to kick it off to us unless they kick it off in the first quarter or the half. You know, but that's how I look at it. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get any kick return, so let's keep getting 3 and out so I can try to get a punt return, somehow get the ball with my hands. So, you know, I'm not mainly concerned with, you know, playing offense. You know, I'm just mainly worried about getting better, improving with the guys on defense, and, you know, continue to gel and continue to just keep getting better and better. You know, because you guys see the shutouts, but, you know, you guys aren't in there in the film room with us when, you know, making countless mistakes that, you know, gets covered up by our effort, you know, and, you know, that's what it all comes down to, you know, try to play as perfect as possible and, you know, just keep getting better.
Final question, Chris in the middle.
Jabrill, the buzz earlier in the week was they were going to kick away from you, so they kicked the JU on that first play. Talk about
Big mistake. Big mistake. You know, Jay was top guy, speed on the team, and you know, I saw the way he lined the tee up and the way he angled it. So I told Jay, I'm like, okay, Jay, it's coming to you. I'm like, just follow me. I got your block. And you know, they kicked it off to him. He did a great job of setting coverage. You know, he hit it. You know, the guys on the special teams, you know, did a great job of, you know, springing them free. You know, getting the proper alignment leverage and keeping it. And you know, the touchdown was a byproduct. You know, I think that definitely set the tempo for the game. You know, that definitely sparked everything. You know, to run a kickoff back on the opening kickoff. You know, that definitely sent a statement to us.